Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about the neural network. So in the neural network, how we have to frame the artificial neural network. So the not artificial neural network was developed from the biological neural network. So what is biological neural network? Okay, so from the human brain, so the activation of the human brain, the activity of the human brain, based on that, so this artificial neural network is developed. So biological neural network is nothing but the network of neurons and their connections in the brain and nerve systems of living organism. That is called as biological neural network. So this network form the foundation of how biological systems process information, control bodily functions, and enable learning, memory, and cognition. So in the neuron diagram, so this is the neuron diagram. So here there is here some main parts will be considered here. One is nothing but the soma, it's nothing but the cell body, and the second one is nothing but the dendrites. So it is nothing but the incoming branch, and the axon, so that is outgoing branch, and the synapses. Synapse is nothing but the junction between the dendrites and an axon from another neuron. Okay, so this is the structure of the neuron diagram. So the main parts, one is dendrites that act as a receiver in our brain. So the one of the parts is called as dendrites. It is also called as receiver. Other way around, that is, it is called as receiver. So it's nothing but a branch like extension that receives signals from the other neuron. So the function of the receiver, it will be receive the signals from the other neurons. And second one part is called as soma. Other way around, it is called as cell body, or it is called as a collector. The role of the soma is nothing but the collector. So it contains the nucleus and is the control center of the neuron. The function of the soma is to sum all the incoming signals. Okay, this is the function of soma. And the next one main part is axon. It is also called as, it is act as a transmitter. Axon, it is act as a transmitter. It is nothing but a long thin fiber tube that transmits the signal to the other neurons. Okay, for example, in the biological, the muscles act as a transmitter. And the last one part is nothing but the synapses. It's nothing but the connecting point between the neuron axon and another neuron dendrites. That is called as synapses. See, in a single neuron have 1000 to 10,000 synapses and may be connected with the 1000 neurons. So there are 100 billion neurons in our brain, and each neuron has 1000 dendrites. Is it clear? In a single neuron have 1000 to 10,000 synapses and may be connected with 1000 neurons in our brain. So there are 100 billion neurons, and each neuron has 1000 dendrites. So this is the biological neural network. So from the concept of the biological neural network, the artificial neural network was developed. So artificial neural network is an information processing system that has certain performance characteristics is common with biological neural network. It is a computational model inspired by a biological neural network of a human brain. So ANN, artificial neural network, it is nothing but the information processing occurs at many simple elements called neuron. Signals are passed between the neuron over the connection link. So between the input neuron and output neuron, we are having the connection link. So each connection link has its own associated weights. Each neuron applies an activation function to its net input to determine the output signal. So in a structure of artificial neural network, so first one is for the neurons, it's nothing but the nodes. This is nothing but the basic units of artificial neural network, or nodes or artificial neurons, which loosely mimic the behavior of the biological neurons. So each neuron takes input, processes them, and passes the output to the next layer. So that is the role of the neuron. And the second one for layers. So in the artificial neural network consists of multiple layers. The first layer we call as input layer. The first layer that receives the raw data, for example image pixel, numerical values. So these are the input data. So each node in this layer corresponds to a feature of the input data. Okay, this is the role of input layer and hidden layer. The layers between the input and output layers. So these layers performs intermediate computation and learn representations of the input data. So the hidden layer is nothing but the layers between the input layer and output layer. Okay, in between we are on the layers we call as hidden layer. Okay. So finally for the output layer, the final layer that its output layer is nothing but the final layer. That is the final layer that generate the output. Okay. So for example, it will predict label, classification, regression values, etc. So this is some of the examples. See here. So this is the artificial neural network structure. In the artificial neural network structure, so see this diagram. So we are having the input layer, hidden layer, output layer. X1, X2 up to Xn, that is act as a input layer. Y1, Y2 up to Yk is act as a hidden layer, and the final one Z1, Z2 and Zm is nothing but the output layer. So here the input is given to the input layer X1, X2, X1. Okay. So then the input layer is connected to the output layer, connected to the hidden layer through the connection link. So each connection link have its own associated weights. So that is represented by here it's a W11, W12, W21, W22, WN2, WNK. Okay, so this is the weights between the input layer and hidden layer. Similarly, after the processing, so the hidden layers, so the represented here Y1, Y2 and Yk, it will be fire. Okay, so after firing, so the connection is given to the output layer. So the connection link between the hidden layer and the output layer here we have to represent by V11, V12, similarly for V21, V22 and Vk2, Vkm. Okay. So after that finally we are getting the output. So this is the structure of the artificial neural network. So what is the analogy between the biological and artificial neural network? So in the biological neural network, so we have the so that is for common points, that is for in soma, dendrite, axon and synapses. Okay. So that is compared with the artificial neural network. So artificial neural will be considered the element that is called as neuron, input, output and weight. So here soma in biological neuron. So in artificial neural network, so that is act as a neuron. Okay, the role of the soma. Okay, so that is doing in the neuron here. So dendrites is nothing but the input. Okay, we have to give the input signals to the neuron. In the biological neuron, so that is we have to compare with dendrites. On the axon, okay, in biological neural network, that is for an axon. In artificial neural network, we consider as a output. Synapses is nothing but the weight here in artificial neural network, that is for weight. Okay, so today we discussed about the what is biological neural network. From the biological neural network, how the artificial neural network was developed. Okay. So in the next class, we have to discuss about the some of the neural network model. Okay. Thank you.